So how did our production affect our understanding and interpretation of the play?
Well, obviously there's only 4 of us. There's a lot of characters in the play. It's a lot shorter than it is in the original. So I think playing those multiple characters, we had to make, or at least I felt we had to make bolder decisions and push characters in more distinguishable ways so that people could easily identify them, but also highlight different personality traits, because if you're playing 2 potential love interests, you don't want to make them both nice, even if some people think Paris was nice. We want to push him in down that way and make him a bit more horrible so that we can understand why Juliet really doesn't want to marry him. And at the same time, you know, we have the puppet and we have Lady Capulet who has to be on stage at the same time as the nurse, and this thing that becomes a challenge, you know, we find a way around it and we push Lady Capulet in this direction of really being very distant and very caring, which, like, obviously as a puppet really directly contrasts with the nurse who is so warm and so lovely right next to her. Yeah.
Literally just floats around.
Yeah.
She's just not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me as well, I loved how in our production the prominence of death and the kind of horrors of that are just not shied away from. They're there for everybody to see. So using petals as the blood, petals, this beautiful, you know, traditional love symbol, and it becomes this horrible kind of image of lifeblood just draining away, and by the end of the stage, by the end of the play, the stage is just covered in petals as all of these characters have died, and it's a constant reminder as the play is going on that this is serious. People are losing their lives, and we were using knives in the fight choreo that was very much showing how as soon as that knife comes out, things just automatically go horribly, horribly, tragically wrong. And we also had little shrines set up as each character was lost. Shrines and flowers and candles to again have that reminder. And it's something that we're so familiar with in our everyday lives. We see it on the news, we see it in parks, young people who've lost their lives to knife crime. And that image, I think, for me, in our production is just so affecting and just a reminder of the dangers and the context of the play, really.
Oh gosh, yeah. And in addition, there was a sense of space in this production that I've never really seen it on stage before acting this way. And whenever I've read it on paper, I've never really had this idea. Maybe it's because it's Verona and I've never been or something. But there's a real sense of publicity, that you're always in a public space. And that was instilled really early on. If you remember, our director basically helped us to map out the city. And all of it stemmed from the stage being a central square where all of the primary action took place. And everything that was there was in full gaze of anyone who happened to be passing. When Tybalt challenges Romeo, with the threat of death put on from the prince, this isn't in some back alley or just inside the gates of one of the houses. This is in the square. Everybody knows what's at stake here if these guys come to blows. And yet they're brazen enough to do it. There's so much at stake with honor on the line and whatnot that they will do it in the heart of the marketplace. And that sense of everything being played out in front of hundreds of onlookers in the pivotal scenes really came to, as well as when it was private, splitting the space to establish that it wasn't in view. So there'd be moments where you had one half of the stage dedicated to Juliet's bedroom and the other half to Friar Lawrence's cell. And then it would open again, and you'd realise that every single person of the audience was an actual active participant in the play as a crowd member or whatever it may be. Made it quite special.
And they can see so visually this colour scheme of the Italian flag. Yes. The Capulets wear green, the Montagues wear red. There is a flag marking the territory, and in the plaza there's 2 flags, you know. And it's so visual, so easy to see that these 2 families are coexisting, but they are they are butting heads right up close to each other, and it's a lot of energy and stakes in those scenes.